Good morning, random viewers. Are you ready for another chapter in my epically boring bar holder video? Let's make some lights. You know, Hollywood does it all the time, remakes. So why shouldn't I? Another light. So, with all lights switched on, let's continue. Looks like our workpiece is still on the lathe, just where I left it. I should have cleaned it up already, but I didn't. And I'm going to wipe off all the oil and swarf, and then we are going to do some permanent marker layout back on the table. And now that I'm here, I should also tidy up this chamfering tool. Put it back in its box and back in the drawer for the next time. So I moved my video setup to this table, and let's start with some black marker. There are some chickens on the other side of the barn doors, so they might produce some noise. So I apologize for that in advance. You can hear those bastards? No respect, I tell you, no respect. As you already could have seen in the previous video, there is a little bit of play in this hole. Probably the result of using a Chinese reamer on a dodgy old lathe. And because this hole is just a little bit larger than it should be, the boring bar will end up sitting below center height. And that's why I'm going to install 4 set screws, 2 on both sides, so I can rotate the boring bar a little bit using those set screws and compensate for the loss in center height. So this workpiece is just under 13 centimeters wide, and the flat on this boring bar is about 5 millimeters wide. Apparently I ran out of long 5 millimeter set screws. I probably made too many boring bar holders, so I guess I will use this 4 millimeter ones instead. Maybe a bit small, but I think they will work out. If not, I will have to restart shooting the whole video. Looks like the hole is nice in the middle of the workpiece. Things could have worked out differently, but I did a good job this time. So now I'm going to torture my old and used calipers just a bit more. I set the width of the calipers to 8 millimeters, and now I'm going to scribe a couple of lines on here. Not really sharp. I think I will have to redo that. There is also an annoying plane flying over the barn. Why are they still flying? They should be in lockdown, because that is happening again. Fucked up world. Ah, fuck! New paint job, and let's try this again. See if I can screw this up one more time. And and they should be right where I want them. Oh, it's a bit fake, but it should be workable. Next I'm going to scribe a couple of lines from the sides, just guidelines. It really doesn't matter where those lines end up. I just need some reference points where I can punch in a couple of dimples. And now I'm going to mistreat this carbide scribe to make some punch marks at hopefully the correct... You hear that? That's one of those chicks that were born last summer. There was only one rooster in the litter, but it is practicing its crowing now. Now I know Rusty Nux made a great tool for this, but I should be able to still manage this at more or less the correct location. And now I don't have a hammer. I found one. It's not the one that I wanted, but it should be good enough. Let's try this again. Carefully lining things up. And now a little punch. I might have to improve those dimples in the vise using a bigger hammer. And we all need a bigger hammer from time to time. So I managed to improve those dimples on the vise with a better underground, because this table isn't well, sturdy enough. There he was again. And I'm going to stone off the high spots. Making it easier to see them, and I think it will also help with lining up the drill bit. Alright, now I'm going to move this production to the other room where my little Chinesium drill press is. And that little thing suffered through a whole lot of abuse already, but it should be able to drill a few more holes. And here we are at my Top Craft Chinesium drill press. And I'm trying to do some handheld shooting. Not sure if I'm going to use this footage. Switching on my little spotlight, because well, this video is all about switching on lights. I think it's an early LED and it doesn't really mix very well with the fluorescent. First, this drill bit has to go, because it's way too big. Now I'm going to get a center drill. So I picked out a real small center drill, and now I'm going to try and install it in this drill chuck, which is a piece of crap, especially when it comes to small drill bits, because I always manage to line things up incorrectly between the jaws, so it will get stuck between just two jaws and not in the center. But I think I got it right this time. Yeah, that looks good. Well, I'm not going to use a drill vise for this, because it will be more flexible if you can just slide it on the table. And I just accidentally moved the belt cover, and then a stupid safety switch got switched and turns off the motor. Here we go again. Just the tip. I need to move the table because things pivot, because they get pushed inside the hole. Alright, let's try that again. That's done. Exciting stuff. I'm throwing the swerve in the swerve tray underneath the lathe. Apparently we need a 3.3mm drill bit for an M4 set screw, and that can be arranged. I don't think we need a pilot drill for this, and we also don't need to lower the table. It's probably a good idea to use some motor oil as a lubricant. Now let's fire up this beast. Yeah, that was my 3.3mm drill bit. I hope I have a spare. If not, this chapter will take a while. Or I can install some bigger set screws. This thing actually got bent. Hopefully the broken off part will come out. Yep, it's all here. Now let's go search for a new drill bit. I do have a supply of Chinesium drill bits, and apparently 3.2 is the closest I have to 3.3. So that drill is 3.15 at the tip. But with the run out on this Chinesium drill press, we'll be fine. It's probably going to end up being 3.3. Maybe I should use the drill vise this time. Nah, then I need to lower the table. We're gonna try again. Plenty of drill bits. A little motor oil. Hopefully it will prevent breaking drill bits. A bit wobbly. I think I will need the drill vise. That's probably low enough. And maybe even too low. And I'm readjusting my car jack. And now this shit show can continue. Number 2! How do I do it? Well, got lucky with that one as well. Let me get another one. Now let's try and keep this one in one piece. It probably broke when it went to the hole here. I should probably run the drill press faster, but I'm too lazy to switch the belt. So I always run around 500 RPM, always. I went really slow when it was about to break through into the hole. Alright, I'll see if I have a chamfering tool, a small chamfering tool, because that will make it easier to start the tab. At least all of the nasties will be gone. This bit probably deserves a reward of some kind for surviving this round of drilling. Well, it gets an upgrade to my blue box of tabs instead of the Chinese drill bit supply. Well, I found a small chamfering tool or a countersink, and it looks like it's going to fit. So let's set this up. Where's my chuck key? Found another one with some leverage, so I can tighten this up really good. So that's not going anywhere, and the other chuck key will turn up eventually. It always does. Watching from the side, so I won't go too deep. Perfect! And next I can break some tabs. For this threading job I'm going to use my old 3-stage tabs. These M4 ones haven't seen a whole lot of use, so I suspect they will be okay. Now let's clean this with a burst of compressed air and maybe some brake cleaner if I have some. Hopefully there is still some air in the compressor tank. There was. Just a precaution. A little bit of motor oil and also a little bit on the tab. And I'm starting with a tapered tab. And I might have to switch to a one of those spiral tabs, because the second stage is missing a teeth. I'm going to ease this in and hopefully it will line up perfectly in the hole. I'm doing this one-handed, so I won't have to wave my hands in front of the camera. That is as far as it will go. So now there are 3 more to go, but I will speed up the video for that, because machining videos can be rather boring. I might move the camera to try and make it a bit more interesting. Not sure if that is going to work. Left-handed tapping. Impressive, huh? I can also control a mouse, computer mouse with my left hand, courtesy of the bad case of RSI. So it looks like this hole is a little big. Probably because one of the drill bits broke. So I might have to move the set screw from here to here. That shouldn't be a big problem, but aesthetics, man, I don't like it. So I'm going to try it as it is. Hopefully it will work out. If not, too bad. I can always chop off a piece at the end. There is a little bit of meat left near the bottom. Maybe that's enough. Maybe not. We'll see. Alright, time for the second stage. Now the last hole, the one that's a little bit too big. It feels like it might be okay. And now it's time to clean this a bit. And then I should test the set screws. See if that one hole is still okay. Let's take this out of my awesome English vise and check it on the table. Sounds like the neighbor is playing with his weed whacker. I should probably do that. But I'm going to ream out the nasties left behind by the drilling operation. So that should be good enough. I don't remember which side was the hole. That was a little bit too big. But I guess I will have to try them both. It feels a bit tight. I like that. Now let's try out the other side. This one is a bit looser, although it gets tighter near the bottom. Oh, now this one feels a bit loose, but I think we should be okay. So now it's time to grind these set screws a little bit convex, so they will move a little bit easier on the boring bar. Or I should say, then it will be a little easier to rotate the boring bar and tighten up the set screws. I didn't bother to bring the light stand to the other room, so I will have to make do with this little spotlight. But I'm not planning to shoot a whole lot of grinding footage. That'll be boring. So that's probably good enough, although I'm not completely sure. You know what? I will shoot a picture with my inspection microscope and edit that in. Now why would I shoot a picture if I can also record some video with this Endenstar microscope? Pressing the record button. My Panasonic camera is here to record the audio. The microscope does record audio, but it is of a very poor quality. But it is very useful if you need to synchronize audio and video coming from two sources. Adjusting the focus a bit. It always amazes me how rough grindings look up close. But yeah, that looks good enough to me. Good enough for my amateur project. So let's continue making this boring bar holder remake video. Epic remake video. Epically boring bar remake. Whatever. So I'm done with grinding the set screws. So let's tighten them up, and then we can check my creation on the lathe. Here's a nice Chinesian pointy bit. Let's get that installed. So here's the pointy bit, and now I'm going to try and put back the little screw without me waving my fat fingers in front of the lens. I think I succeeded. So, a little tighter. Let's set this up in the direction of the tailstock, so we can see if it is more or less on center height. Of course, the camera will never be on center height, or exactly on center height, so it will always be a little bit of a guesswork, but that's okay. Now let's move things together. Well, it's currently way below center height. So let's see if I can rotate this a bit. Something looks awfully off to me. I need to rotate the boring bar a lot more than I was expecting, because the flat surface here isn't even close to horizontal. Where did I go wrong? So this project is quickly going sideways for me, because not only is the boring bar sitting lower than expected, that set screw that I had problems with earlier keeps on spinning. It just doesn't want to engage. So that's something that will have to be fixed, but not right now, because I kinda had it with this project. I'm such an amateur when it comes to machining stuff. But hey, surprise, there will be a next video, or a next chapter in this epic boring bar remake video. The project that keeps on going. But I do have a plan for the next chapter, something that I want to try. Although I was hoping to do some testing in this chapter. So, bye for now, and to be continued.